Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. What I want to talk about in this video quickly, I'll answer a question somebody sent me. Reference bodyguards, security people falling in love with their clients and the clients falling in love with them. And to me, it's a stupid question, but to a lot of people, I'm sure they've seen the Kevin Costner movie and it's all romantic. And yes, reality, does it happen? Yes, it happens. But to me, that's a major failure in management and also a major failure in professionalism for the security guy, girl, etc. Incidents. I think in Europe, there's been a couple of cases where I think there's a couple of royals, be it in Scandinavia or Spain, that have fallen in love with their police bodyguards and end up getting married, etc. There was one incident a couple of years ago where one of the leading Middle Eastern royal families fell in love with their bodyguard, I think it was a British bodyguard, and ended up running away from her husband, going to London. It's a big legal case, big stink, etc. From what I remember. That's all well and good, and as I said, the last guy dealing with the Middle Eastern royal was more applicable to my world, the private security world. And again, I understand the mentality of some people where they're thinking, okay, we've got one of our guys, girls having a relationship with a client, so we'll keep the contract. As long as, I understand, I take it this guy was ex-British military, I understand the squaddy mentality, which is pretty immature most of the time, of, aha, we got a guy banging the client, we'll keep the client, we'll keep the contract, he's keeping her happy, and all the other bullshit. The trouble is, a lot of times these people, I take it this lady wasn't paying the bills. She wasn't the one that's running the contract. Her husband was. Her husband's the one that's paying the bills and agreed to things. And this is where, in that situation, I don't think the husband was too happy when he found out his wife was having an affair with one of the security guys and decided to run away. So he could have cancelled that contract with a click of his fingers. So, where it might be good for shits and giggles and cool to have one of the guys fucking a client, in reality it can jeopardize the job for everybody on it and future contracts, etc., etc. Issues. There needs to be bound, and this is where the management comes in. You've got to, if you're providing close protection services, you've got to have tight management on your people. If you think any of your people is getting too close to the client, then you need to step in, even if the client doesn't like it, etc., etc. This is where you, from a close protection perspective, management perspective, you have to understand your people and make sure there's no funny business going on. And again, how do I put it? I put it in other videos. I'm not too trusting of people. I work with a very small group of people that I know, and I know they're not going to be doing anything stupid most of the time. On some of the Arab jobs I remember in London, it's like you had to be married to be on the job, you had to be a certain age, etc. That way it minimalizes the chances of flirting between security personnel, clients, the client staff, etc. Now, I know of one guy in London on one job that was, his boast was he was sleeping or having sex with one of the clients, again, Arab client, used to come into London for a couple of months during the summer. He was banging one of the client's mates. Well and good for him. He got to get away from his wife and kids for a few months a year, stay in London, and he was banging some young Filipino maid, etc. So it was all cheap thrills for him. But he could have jeopardized the whole contract for everybody that was on it. Did the boss know about it? I expect so, and they turned a blind eye to it. Not something I would have done, but it's not my job. The issue is there. One of the big issues, especially these days, all it would have taken was for that maid, if she wanted to stay in UK, and again, this especially applies to jobs in the US, if that maid had cried out rape, if she'd reported that guy to the police, especially in the US, of course the guy would have got arrested. There would have been an investigation, and the way the laws go at the moment, he would have been arrested and most probably convicted. The other thing is there, why would the girl do it? Well, if that in the US, if the girl is involved in a crime, that's a fast track opening for a US green card. It helps residency. If she reported that she had sex with, well, she could have consensual sex with one of the security team, but she just reports that then as she was sexually assaulted. One, that fast tracks her for a green card. Two, it gets the security guy arrested, and also it's going to cause a big stink for the security company. As a security company owner, I would be looking at that. I'd be waiting to get sued, because again, you're partly liable for supplying the guy, etc., etc., etc. So from a legal perspective, a reputation perspective, a liability perspective, you don't want your guys and girls getting involved sexually or romantically with any of your clients, because that can lead you to, and it can drop you in big hot water. So boundaries need to be enforced, and management needs to ensure that boundaries are always enforced. I had issues on a job years ago in South Beach. I had a client there, it was high-end retail, and one of my guys got a little bit too close to one of the managers. Long story short, I fired this guard, and one of the managers got a little bit too emotional when I fired him. And the reason I fired the guy, because he lied to me. He wanted to have time off one morning to go and see his girlfriend. He couldn't do it, see his girlfriend that was leaving the country for a while. He couldn't do it any other time because he didn't want his wife to find out. I couldn't find anybody to cover for him. I said, you find somebody, no problems. He couldn't find anybody. So what happened, he took the time off anyway. But I didn't find out about it until I put the bill in, and the client said to me, the account said to me, okay, your guy was how many hours late on a certain morning? When I spoke to him about it, he's like, oh, my car broke down. I was like, okay, fuck you. You think I'm stupid? Your car breaks down on the morning you asked me for time off, conveniently. I take it what he'd done is spoke to a manager there he was a little bit too close to, male manager. And the male manager said, okay, I won't report you come in late, etc., etc. But I think the accounts department was wise to what was going on, so I found out through the accounts department. When I fired this guy, the manager that had done him the favor got all emotional. Why did you fire the guy, etc., etc. And again, caused a stink over this. After I spoke to a couple of my other guys about what was going on, apparently the guy that was working for me was getting a little bit too close for this manager, giving him lifts home, and apparently they were being a little bit too friendly. Maybe, and especially being that environment in South Beach and Miami, were they showing each other some brotherly love? Wouldn't surprise me, especially after the fact and the reaction of the manager after the fact this guy got fired. So just from there, and I detail that, I've got, again, I think I said earlier, I got an article up on sexual, racial discrimination, etc., sexual harassment on my blog. Especially after that incident, that incident caused me problems because obviously my guard had got too close to this manager, way too close. And this is where, just from those couple of stories, hopefully you can see boundaries have to be enforced, because from a security company perspective, from a management perspective, they can cause you big problems. They can lose you contracts. They can get you sued. And again, you can have somebody that's good. The last guy I mentioned that was working for me on South Beach, good guy, as long as he was working properly and he wasn't allowing his dick to rule his brain. But guys and their dicks are difficult to control. Yeah, and a lot of times a guy's dick will rule his brain. So this is where, this is my perspective on, should people do bodyguards, fall in love with clients, etc. Yes, it happens, but to me it's very unprofessional. And from a management perspective, you always want to be watching that type of thing and ensure it doesn't happen. I was talking to somebody else about this recently, and it's like, you know what, in a lot of places, if you're supplying guards to somebody and they end up banging the client's wife, you can end up in a lot of trouble. You can end up in a ditch somewhere dead with the guy that was banging the client's wife, because in a lot of places the clients are just going to think, the husbands are going to think, okay, well, the security company must have known about this. The security company supplied me with this guy, so they're just as guilty as the guy that was sticking his dick in my wife. So that can put you into a very dangerous situation, not just a situation where you can get sued. So think about it. Anyway, in the meantime, follow me along on social media. I've got an array of these videos up. I've got an array of books up on Amazon that talk about various aspects of security business, etc. And follow me along on social media. I like X these days. but we've also got stuff up on the main platforms, YouTube, Instagram. We're even up on TikTok. We post stuff occasionally there. So follow me along on social media, read the articles I got up on my blog, check out the books on Amazon. And if you have any relevant questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I will get back to you in time. In the meantime, be good, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and keep your personal life to your personal life and your business life strictly business.